My name is Denes Csala. I'm a lecturer at the University of Lancaster, and most of my research background at Lancaster is about the interfaces between data and energy. And when we talk about energy, especially, um, I work in a small research lab called Energy Lancaster. And at the time when we were submitting this grant, the focus of that lab was very much on energy storage. And I think currently there are like two large vectors being considered for large-scale energy storage, which would be lithium-ion batteries and hydrogen storage together as to make it into an energy system, hydrogen fuel cells as well as electrolyzers. And then in this particular seedcom project, what we were interested in is how viable would it be to actually have we called it hydrogen waterways. So how viable it would be to have hydrogen boats. And then there's quite a few research projects that we found that were already focusing on sort of like sea vessels, and then that's why we wanted to think what would be a bit more local, a bit more sort of like characteristic to Lancashire. And then we have quite a few canals as well as the Lake District. So we specifically thought about, okay, what would it take to convert a canal boat to be hydrogen fueled and operating fully hydrogen? And we do have a good relationship with one of the regular canal boat operators. So like they operate like a water taxi or canal cruise service, and then we approached them. And then we wanted to capitalizing a little bit on our relationship with the Lake District, being in Lancaster, close to Cumbria, was to try to use this as a springboard to develop it into a more elaborate proposal into converting one of the larger boats, a lake boat in the Lake District, to operate on hydrogen. The most surprising thing was actually so two things throughout the seed project, that it would be technically possible, even with today's technology, and it doesn't have to be like out of the lab with off-the-shelf components. It would be tremendously expensive to compare to where we are today, but it would at least be technically possible to do the conversion and keep operating the boat as its intended purpose, keeping the schedules, keeping the same passenger numbers, keeping it hot or heated, keep serving the meals, keeping it lit. So there was no real technical hurdle converting the boat. However, what was quite surprising is that there's a significant infrastructure challenge associated with converting boats to hydrogen, and we might even have to develop a road network like charging infrastructure next to canals if you were to take it seriously. Otherwise, the costs are just prohibitive. So that was one of the things that I think it was quite surprising, and I think there is not enough emphasis in terms of how the transportation system has to develop in symbiosis with the infrastructure system. And of course, it's a chicken egg situation, but this is exactly where sort of public research grants can help catalyze this a little bit. Once we did the pilot study on the canal, and then we started shifting our focus towards the bigger boats on the lakes, it was very quickly clear that it's going to be a very long time, if ever, until we are going to see electric boats, battery electric boats that are even just your typical day ferry, like tourist ferry with, let's say, 100 or a couple of hundred passengers, let alone like roll on roll off car ferries, just because the energy weight ratio just kills the concept. The batteries are just too heavy. So what it was very clear, I think, very quickly, and it was, I think, one of the good lessons that I think that I found out that throughout this project, is that in the shipping industry, hydrogen is the only way to go green. And I think this was a couple of years ago, and then I think some of the grants that they have been awarded even through the Clean Maritime Scheme in the UK, but also some international grants really underline that. So that's a good thing to see. The hydrogen especially carries this backpack of this flying zeppelin blowing up, and then that's, I think, for some reason that was such a well advertised or ill advertised, should I say, event, that still quite a lot of people ask about the safety of hydrogen storage. And then hydrogen storage, if you look into the engineering nitty-gritty of it, hydrogen storage is actually quite safe as long as you follow the protocols, the safety protocols. It's by any means not more dangerous than refueling your boat or your car with regular petrol. So I think the image of hydrogen needs to be sort of like on par with lithium-ion batteries as sort of like this cool new green technology, and then there's some room to cover there.